Y'all, I am down 41% on eBay year over year. It's even worse on Poshmark. It's almost 70% on Poshmark. And I hate being doom and gloom. And that's why I'm going to be sharing with you guys today the one thing that I am doing, because when you're down that much, you're eventually going to go out of business. And this is the one thing that I am doing that is saving me and allowing me to still take a paycheck home every month as things are so rough. So before we get into what I'm doing, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on and why I think things are so rough. Now, obviously, this is talking about I'm in women's fashion. It's going to be different depending on the category that you're in. So let me know down below what you guys are noticing. But here is the thing, women's fashion, what's happening? And in general, I think a lot of categories are dealing with this. The economy's down. We're kind of over the COVID hump, right? And so we were getting stimulus. We were getting tax child credits. We were getting all of these things. We were not having to pay student loans, right? And that kind of helped us. And my COVID numbers were probably some of the best numbers that I've had, but that's kind of over. And so not only is that over, we're seeing the impacts of that in the economy. People have less money. People, if they don't have less money, they're a little bit nervous about what is happening. So they're saving, they're not spending as much. Now, I'm going to link it up here if I can find it, but eBay did a presentation at eBay Open. Well, they had a third-party company come on and do it. So if they have it, that really good information here. But they kind of talked about, there are people that do still have money, but they may be holding on to it, or they are spending, but it's in certain categories, right? And so it was super interesting presentation, but economy's down. So we're definitely noticing that. We have the world news impacts. This is not a political channel, so I'm not getting into that, but there's things in the world that are happening right now that make people fearful, and it makes them hold on to their money, right? So if they do have money, they are holding on to it. If the economy is impacting them, you're seeing a lot of people who left the workforce in COVID are trying to get back into it. So not only are they taking jobs from other people that are trying to get them, but it's also a sign that, hey, things are no longer as good as they used to be, and maybe they need health insurance now, or they need a little bit of extra income. Possibly lives. I'm not I don't know. I've seen some of the lives and I'm like, these people can't possibly be making money. I don't know. But possibly some of the lives, you have Whatnot, Poshmark lives, eBay lives are starting to come on. Is that impacting the sales and taking it away from where they're at? Women's fashion, I will tell you, I did a video, if I can, I'll link it up here if I can find it. It was a couple months ago, but I did a video talking about how many sellers are on eBay, and you can look in Terapeak to see this, but it went from like, it was like a 400% increase in number of tops that were listed on eBay in a year or two, right? A 400% increase. Like, saturation is outrageous. COVID, a lot of people got into it. I think bigger companies are getting into it. And then you also have student loans that are coming back in, right? That happened this year, so I think we're going to continue to see the impacts of that. But what you're seeing is people who were in the buying pool, right? The people that are stimulating the economy, the people that are, the young families, they're buying houses, they're taking vacations, they're the people who are spending the most into the economy. They're now having student loans that are coming back. Not all of them, but most of them. And I'm going to tell you, because hello, I'm in that generation, they're not cheap. My student loans are the second highest. Between me and my husband, they're the second highest bill that we pay on top of next to our mortgage. We didn't have to pay that for 2 years. And now it's coming back. So not only are we having all of these other impacts, we're now having to have this huge bill that you have to pay, or it's non-negotiable. And that's coming back on top of all of these other impacts. So let me know what you guys are noticing, what you think is causing some of this decline right now. But I'm going to talk about the one thing that I'm doing. And here's the thing is I'm doing less with more. And what does that mean? That means I'm preserving my cash flow, right? So here's the thing. You only have so much money at the end of the day. Your cash flow is how much money you're spending and how much money you're taking home at the end of the day, right? And so if you keep doing this cycle that we've all been doing, list more. If things are bad, list more. Well, here's the problem with that, friends. And let me show you. We're looking at Sarah Styles Sales and Trends dashboard. I'm going to scroll up here. What we're looking at here is essentially the past 2 years of data, of my data. So this is if you're new to the channel, this is a Google spreadsheet. I have all of my inventory in it and I manage it it, and then I have analytics. If you want to be able to look at your numbers like this, you can purchase it, one-time purchase down below, and I have a coupon code. But what we're looking at is my sell-through rate. It's the dotted line. We're looking at 13-month rolling. So we're looking at essentially the past 2 years. And if you look at, there's a couple outliers, obviously, but if you look at the basic trend of what that dotted line is doing, it is a steady decline. We're looking at sell-through rate. So how many items are selling out of how many items that I have for sale, right? So 2 years ago, I'm cruising along. I'm at 13% in November. I'm at like 11% in October, cruising right along. Things are great. You look at this October, I'm at 4%. So over the past 2 years, my sell-through rate has continued to go down. And sell-through rate, how many items you're selling out of how many items that you have for sale. Which means if you continue this cycle of, I'm going to list more, well, it costs money to list these items. And if you were selling 13% of these items before, and now you're only selling 4% of them, at some point, you're not going to make enough money to buy that inventory, let alone pay yourself for all the work that you're doing, right? You can't keep up the same things that were working in the past in this time. Now, I've seen a lot of resellers, and this may be what works for you. Hey, it's not worth it. I am quitting. There's been a lot of that. I've seen a lot of videos out there. It's just not worth it. I'm selling my inventory. Who wants to do it? So that's definitely an option. I'm not quite to that point yet. I'm stubborn and I'm hanging on there, hoping that I can make it through, but I cannot continue to buy at the rate that I once was when things were selling at 11%. If they're selling at 4%. So what I'm doing is trying to squeeze the most out of the inventory that I already have. You have two options here. You can continue buying the same amount as you were, but work on lowering your cost of goods because that's going to squeeze more money out of your bottom line. If you're a bins person, you probably can't get much less than that, maybe for free, but oftentimes the inventory that you're getting for free is not going to be as good as what you were finding. I personally don't like the bins. So what I'm doing is squeezing my cost of goods, keeping my cost of goods the same, but instead of listing and buying more inventory, I'm buying about half of the inventory that I used to, and I'm working on strategies to sell the inventory that I've already spent money on. I've already paid for it. Let's try and get it going. So I'm going to tell you the strategies in a minute, but I just want to show you how I know that this is working. While my sell-through rate is still trash, at the end of the day, I look at my bank account and know it's working, but I'm essentially doing reverse reseller nirvana, right? So if you follow Chris at Daily Refinement, reseller nirvana is buying as many items, selling as many as you're listing. And when things are great and your sell-through rate is great, that's awesome. But when your sell-through rate is continued to go to trash, like I mentioned earlier, this isn't sustainable long term. You're eventually going to run out of money. So here I am essentially, like I said, doing reverse. I am listing, buying less new items and trying to sell more old items. And you can see here for October so far, I've sold 135 items and I've only purchased and listed 90 items. That means that I am selling items that I've already spent money on, which means my cash flow at the end of the day is still positive. It means that I can pay myself. So what am I doing to get those items to sell, right? I have 2,600 items. Many of them are many years old. These are the strategies that I am doing to sell them. Let me know down below if you guys have other ideas of doing them as well. But what's going to happen is purchasing less means I get more money out of my pocket, right? So what I'm doing is sell similar, and I've been doing this for a long time, but I'm doing sell similar 50 a day. 80% of my sales yesterday were from sell similar. That means old inventory that wasn't selling, I ended it and I created a whole new listing with sell similar. It gets put to the top of the algorithm, it gets seen, and it's maybe not, especially in my category, it may not be it's bad inventory. It may be, hey, when I listed it, it was summer and no one was searching for jeans in summer. And so now when I end it and start it again, it puts it to the top of search when people are looking for it, and then it gets sold, right? So that's definitely helping. However, I'm noticing it's helping less and less. And what I think's happening, I've talked a lot about this with Anna in my lives, and at eBay Open, they kind of mentioned it. Their algorithm, their AI is getting so smart. And I think the AI is starting to catch on. Hey, people are ending these items. The data, technically speaking, you end an item, you sell it similar, it has a new item ID, and it's supposed to be, none of the past data is part of it. But I think what's happening is if you do that enough, it's like, hey, because the AI is smart, right? It's catching on and saying, hey, I've seen this before and it didn't sell. I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to put it at the top, or maybe I'm going to do it for a day and then push it back down because it didn't sell in the past, right? So I think some of the data, if we're not changing our listings, just ending them, which is what I've been doing for over a year. If I'm just ending it and selling it similar, after a time or two, it's probably catching on and I'm not getting the impacts from it. So what I've been doing from here, I'm still doing the sell similar every day, but I am only having my virtual assistant list 5 new items. So I'm only purchasing 5 new items a day. I'm not doing it daily, but I'm only listing 5 new items, and then I'm having them go in and end the old items, my oldest items, and create a completely new listing, change the order of the photos if they need to, update the title, find new keywords, update the pricing if they need to, basically doing a full audit on all of my stuff. Go in, and if it was under sweatshirts, but it could also be a hoodie, change the category, right? So I'm having them go in and audit the listing first of all and make sure it's accurate, it has everything accurate and updated, and then going in and changing at least 3 things as applicable, right? Don't change it to like a dress if it's a sweatshirt, but changing at least 3 things so that it's a completely brand new listing, right? And it's helping. I'm doing the sell similar, and then I'm doing this new listing. And the other thing that this is helping, it's helping, like I said, the reverse reseller nirvana, but it's also helping my bottom line, because what it means is I'm spending less money to pay my virtual assistants to do this, because creating a brand new listing takes them a lot longer than it does. They end it, they have the information right here. They end it and they can just copy the information and change a couple things. So they're not spending as much time on it. I'm paying less in virtual assistants. I'm paying less in inventory, which means my bottom, right? My cash flow is better. I'm having money at the end. It also means I'm spending less in expenses. It's not a ton, but I put every single item that I list, I put in a clear bag in one of these bins, and I put a label, a SKU number on it. If I'm listing less items, it means I need less SKUs, and it means I need less bags. It's not a ton, but at the end of the day, in these rough times, every little penny helps, and it all adds up. The last thing that I am doing, well, there's 2 things, but one isn't necessarily reselling, but it's allowing me to do this. The last thing that I'm doing is messing around with promoted, and you'll see, I'll link a video here. I completely ended promoted because I was like, it's killing my bottom line. I'm not making any money. I'm done with it. That was a terrible idea. I learned a lot from that experience, so check out that video, but I'm messing around with my promoted, and you can see it is actually working as well. Let me scroll out of this. So while my total gross sales are down 41%, my net sales, so net sales is just taking out your selling costs, which is going to be shipping and fees, right? Shipping and fees from eBay. So this is only down 35%. Which means 6%, my selling costs are actually 6% less. So I am bringing in 6% less because I'm lowering my promoted listings. Now, I'm not super happy with being down 41%, so I am still messing with my promoted listing percent. Make sure to subscribe because I will do a video and update you on kind of where I land, what numbers to look at, and how to do this for you. What works for me isn't going to work for you, but I walk you through what I'm doing, what analytics I look at, how to test A/B testing and figure out what is going to work for you, right? So all this being said, I am working on these strategies to do less with more. And because I'm not having to, so I do have a virtual assistant who does all my listings for me, cross lists and updates my spreadsheet and all of that. So ultimately all I do is shipping and take photos of the items to send them. Because I'm listing less new items, it means I'm spending less time doing that. And because I'm spending less time in my business, while sales were down anyway, I'm spending less time in my business. More items are selling than they used to. More items that I already had, not spending more money. It's freeing up my time, and it's allowing me to supplement my income other places. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably noticed, I've talked about it here a little bit, but I'm subbing at my kids' school more. It's not huge money, but it's completely flexible, and it's money that I'm making on top of my reselling business until things kind of pick back up. So let me know what's happening with you guys, how your Q4 is looking, strategies that you're doing to kind of hold you here, or if you're like, you know what, I quit. I'm done. I'm out of this game. I just like watching you. So if you guys like this video, YouTube thinks you'd like this video, I'll link a playlist down here of how to make money reselling. And then do make sure to hit that subscribe button to follow my journey and learn how to make money reselling.